Aw, people. Bears are 8 in a row. They've won 8 in a row at Soldier Field. They're 3-0. 3-0 at home this season. 2 games in a row, baby. Let's go. Bear down. Bear claw. Welcome to the... It's always weird to say bear claw, but we'll get used to it. Welcome to the Trio of Positivity podcast, people. If you cannot tell, we are doused in positivity thanks to a Mr. Williams that's our quarterback these days. This is a podcast where we examine the Chicago sports landscape, bring some positivity into your lives. I got my boys with me. This is your host, Boopen. Positive Brigade, show up. Chris, Mike, what's up, people?
Cheers.
Yeah!
I love that. I like bring the energy here, and Chris just brings it all the way. Chris,
Whoa, hold on now. Well, actually, I don't know why my camera's trying to hide my hotness here, but all right. We'll
never change. Quick social plug, Chris. You'll get your second in a minute. On Facebook, we're at Trio of Positivity Podcast. At Twitter, we're at Trio Positivity. We got YouTube going. We got some people watching our shorts at Trio of Positivity Podcast. We got a website too, somewhere in there. In today's episode, though, we gotta talk about their win. We're gonna talk about the week of NFL football that just happened too. Tell you about the game that's coming up next week in London. All that and more. Fantasy football. Bring you some positivity there. Your boy went 4-0 this week. It's about time the team started turning around.
Good job, Boopin. Good job. Before we get too far here, thank you for giving the social plugs every day. Just a little shout out and thanks to all of our listeners. We've got tons of feedback lately from all ends of the earth, literally all ends of the earth. And specifically, just want to shout out our friends for all they do for us. Ben, he keeps coming back. You know him, you love him. He always runs his mouth a little too much about some of the points we make. But we have a new listener that just started on the podcast for the Indy Bears game a few weeks ago. So I gotta give my shout out to Scott.
We are not doing this.
Gotta give my shout out to Scott.
God damn it.
He just joined. He's been an avid listener. He's loving it. And he gave us so much shit, but he won the battle. They won the battle. But you know what? That game started us ready to win the war because that was a coming out party for Caleb. Let's go. And their quarterback sucks. Fuck Anthony Richardson. Woo!
I mean, Flacco is playing okay, but yeah.
I heard they're looking for Manny Petty place in Indy so they can get their nails painted too.
Ooh.
Maybe they will get a win that way. I don't know.
Maybe Anthony Richardson will be able to stay healthy that way with some painted nails.
I love it. Shout out. You have been good. You have been giving us feedback. It's super appreciated. All of it, guys. Keep it coming. We need it. Now, let's get sophisticated. Let's talk about this week 5 football we just saw. I'll kick us off. NFC. Oh, sorry, buddy. How was it close at least?
No, I had you under. I didn't even text Miller, but I had the under today.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
No, he didn't. He didn't text me.
I didn't text, but I was gonna go under again, and
I gave myself under 45, so I went over. So if it makes it feel better,
we both lost.
Hey, hopefully the audience won that as a result. My reaction, my point I wanted to make about NFL Week 5 was NFC has 2 teams, 1 wins, Rams and Panthers. The AFC has 5 teams that have 1 wins. The Patriots, Bengals, Browns, Jags, and Titans. So, there's always a rivalry fight, about who's better, what conference is better. I wanted to ask you guys, is NFC better than the AFC, or are the teams in AFC cannibalizing each other and, leading to this poor record somehow? That was my question to you guys. For
That's actually
week
a
5.
great question.
Well, that's not really how math works. Usually, if the NFC is better than the AFC record-wise, which they are, then the AFC isn't cannibalizing themselves.
That was my question. Is NFC
But yes, the NFC is better. They're playing better. Right now, they have better teams, I would say, personally. I just think overall, I think the AFC has shown weaknesses in many of their teams, whether it's slow starts or whatnot. Um, it'll You just don't know what the AFC is at the moment. Specifically, if you look at like Baltimore and the Bills, who are projected to be of the better teams. Both of them are sitting at 3-2, which is good, but they have ninks in their armor, or chinks in their armor, I should say. But then you look at the Kansas City Chiefs and they're 5-0 and they look like shit. So who the fuck knows? All I know is the NFC. The NFC North specifically is the only division in football that where every single team is above 500. Props to this. We called it at the beginning. We knew it was going to be a good division, and they're showing out. I still think that although we do have the Panthers, I still think the NFC, as of this moment, is showing that they have some pretty solid teams out there.
No, fair point. One thing I want to point out was like some one-win teams on the AFC side are pretty surprising. Bengals, like Jags, like they were like expected to be much better than that. So just something I noticed. Miller, what you got? Something from Week 5 that you wanted to bring up?
My thing from Week 5 has got to be the rookie quarterback play between the big three that are currently starting. I should say Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix. They combined to go 3-0. Threw for 748 yards, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. And of course, there was some running yards in there. But I mean, this is the best weekly performance we've seen from the three of them. And it's just kind of crazy. We're 5 weeks into the season, and these rookies, specifically Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, are already looking like they could be in the pros for a long time. So it's kind of crazy to me that it's so early in the season and we're already getting these types of results. It's interesting to see that the Patriots, it looks like they're starting Drake May this week,
Drake
who is
May,
the
yeah.
third overall pick. And then the Saints are going to be forced to start their first rounder, Spencer Rattler, because Derek Carr got hurt. So we're going to have 5 rookie quarterbacks leading the charge this week going into for week 6. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the start of the big three that started the season with Nick's, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb, they're showing out, man.
Well said. I was going to say Drake May, but you brought it up too. Chris, what did you see? What do you want to bring up?
Just that you can kind of tell we're hitting that stride of performance is starting to meet expectations or not meet expectations. We got 2 teams right now that are undefeated, Vikings and Chiefs, but also it's very interesting that today the Jets made a move that a lot of people were not kind of expecting, but some people are praising it, with the Jets coach being fired from the owner, with the owner not necessarily, well, rumor has it was kind of not getting too much info from other people. But I just think now it's getting interesting to kind of see that had other teams probably not been having good starts, could they have been on the same boat? Did the Jets make the right move? So I think a lot of teams are going to start kind of moving in that route of it's time to get shit done. So it was very interesting. I thought it was going to be mostly about football field stuff, and it's this firing kind of took the news as like the big story. So
Yeah, I did not have my money on the Jets being the first team
The
to fire
first,
the
yeah.
coach. Like I thought it'd be a couple of other teams. Jags,
I'll be honest, if anything,
Eagles.
I figured it would have been done maybe when the season was over. I was not expecting something before the trade deadline. It's a little bit weird.
Salah was definitely on the hot seat. He was basically equivalent to Eberflus coming into the year. If they didn't perform, likelihoods that they were both going to get fired. But I think if you're the owner, you kind of see the writing on the wall. Like, he came out and said, "This is the best team that the Jets have ever had," quote unquote. What, right? So you can't waste Rodgers, even though Rodgers looks like complete shit. But you can't waste him by waiting until the end of the season if you're going to make that change. So I think that's kind of how it prompted him to make the change now, just for maybe will vault them up. But I think I read something that there's like 2 teams in history that have ever fired their coach midseason and made the playoffs. So the likelihood of it doing anything to adjust their path is very low.
It's low, but that division is still kind of up for grabs. So you never know with that team.
If they beat the Bills on Monday Night Football night this week, I think they'll be number 1 in that division. So that's where they are. Yes, they look far, but the other thing is like it's kind of like LeBron, right? Rodgers is the coach on that team, right? I'm sure defense there's other coaches giving off instruction, but like I feel like Rodgers has a lot of pull, and I think that I was gonna say team was gonna be okay offense wise. I was surprised, and I read there's so much going on there. The Nathaniel Hackett, who's the offensive coordinator, was about to be fired, and then somehow Salah got fired. I think Robert Salah was looking into firing him possibly because numbers wise, I'm not going to take a deep dive. Like Robert Salah was top 3 in most defensive stats since he joined the Jets. So like if that's his side of the ball, whatever, he was doing an okay job, but he's a head coach. He needs to own the whole thing. I get why he was fired, but it just was so weird.
Just one point to counter that, though. I think a lot of those numbers are heavily influenced from previous seasons. I don't think the defense right now was ranked pretty high compared to.
No, it's pretty high.
Is it? Because I thought I heard people on Twitter was saying like that the defense kind of is seeing a downswing.
They almost won
Twitter's
the game.
Always right according to Miller, so that's why I'm kind of
that's why I'm skeptical of my own thoughts.
Yeah, no, but I
the defense has still performed at a high level this year.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say it's number 1, but it's definitely holding them in games.
Yeah, I think I heard on the radio they were talking about how he was like the lowest win percentage, but like the defense was like now mid-ranked or something like that. So I don't know. You can tell it caught a lot of people off guard just for the simple fact that
no, it caught him off guard.
It caught him off guard, and then he got security escorted him out. So it's a whole.
Yeah, that's surprising. But the one stat I'll throw out is like suppose Zach Wilson, like his stats last year were better than the Jets' stats right now.
No, that's not true.
That's not true.
It's not true.
They are basically even.
Even? Okay.
I think they had the same record up to this point. I think Rodgers is beating him by like 15 or 20 yards, and they have the same points through this point.
That is incredible.
So it's basically even, but I think Rodgers has him beat a little bit by yard. It's kind of crazy.
Well,
let's move away from the Jets.
Let's talk about the Bears. Come on,
people. We got positivity. Like, forget the Jets' negativity. We don't do that. We're a good, well-running organization. Execution, as Miller likes to say here. Okay,
as Eberflus likes to say.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was you. But let's talk about the recap. Bears played Panthers this week, and we spanked them. 36-10, boys. It was glorious. You want points? You got points. You want touchdowns? You got touchdowns. You want a rushing touchdown? You got 3 of them.
You wanted to fall asleep on your couch? You got it.
Yeah, but all that positivity, boys, and again, let me have this, okay? I was thinking back to like at least the last couple of years. I think this was the most complete Bears win in recent history. Okay? The defense didn't have to score. They were solid as they always are. They didn't have to score. The offense showed out, and got us the W. I think this was the most complete Bears win in recent history.
Can you not use the word history, please? You can't say 2 years ago and say history. History goes a long way back. Okay, recent seasons. Just say recent seasons.
No, the only other game I can think of is like it was a Thursday night game at Washington. I think we won 42-20 or something like that. It might even be Titans.
The Patriots game like a few years ago. I don't know, dude. I mean, there's a few freaking victories out there.
I just love that you're deciding on this to be a complete game because we played the very, very tough, very skilled Panthers team that just got their first. What do you mean it's not fair?
Like, it's an NFL team. They have people on that team that are.
They have people in their own state that don't even want to watch them play. So what does that mean?
I don't know what that like. They're not doing hot, but it's an NFL team.
They're not doing cold either. They don't don't know.
Okay. First off, they could have laid a dud. They could have laid a dud. And
one point, Miller. They're not watching them because they don't have electricity right now. Go ahead.
I thought I was gonna say that. I didn't expect you to. You're the fucking good boy in the group. But realistically, the Bears could have laid a dud, and it could have been a competitive game, and it wasn't. They did what they were supposed to do. So although it's the Panthers, you still have to give them credit. I'm not gonna go his route and talk about the most complete game in history. No, but they did do a really good job, and Caleb looked fantastic. He made some great throws. He threw for 304 and 2 TDs, no interceptions, no turnovers. So I don't have to listen to all the guys and the Bens, the Johns, the Chris's yell at me out. Caleb sucks. No, I don't have to do that this week. He played really good. Played really good football, and that's what I'm excited about. Okay.
I don't know about all that. I would never say anything to criticize these kind of things.
Like I like that his QBR, like his play, his reads have consistently gone higher week over week. There's like good progress there. But no, he looked great. I think we should be pumped. You know, he was escaping the pocket. He was extending plays. He was completing passes outside. He was doing it all. Like some of the rushers, yeah, we talk about Panthers being bad team. They were around him, and he still like was using his skill, his like ability to read the game and making plays, man. We gotta give him props for that.
Yeah, he is the first Bears rookie to throw count them, 300-yard games in the modern era. Yep. Your boy Fields didn't do that. Your boy Mitchie boy didn't do that either, bud.
Don't you dare bring up Mitch in these conversations, all right?
And
Mitch,
it took him 5 games for the record.
How many games did it take him for that first touchdown too? Oh yeah, we don't talk about that though, right? Right. That's still a question that's been left.
Learning curve.
That's still a question that's been left unanswered in the group chat.
Listen, no, it was interceptions actually. Thank you very much.
I was very happy to see this, and I think a lot of the concerns that we collectively had from the last week kind of got muffled with this game, right? I think we can kind of agree.
I wanted to say he almost listened to the episode. We had explosive plays. We had like plays outside the pocket.
DJ Moore got over 100. Like
50-50 balls.
Yeah, like
everything we said, almost like you listened to the episode. Caleb, shout out if you're listening.
Shout out, buddy. We're all about the claw.
Yeah, we'll figure out how to say it properly next time too. But no, let's talk about a couple of things that were like people whose stocks are headed the right way. Bears scored first half points. We had 3, I think, before this game. We scored 27 in the first half. It was incredible to see. I think we scored 1 touchdown in the first quarter, and then like 20 points.
2, wasn't it?
Was it 2?
I think it might have been 1. You might have been right.
And
all I know is they came out and they scored the rush with Chuba Hubbard, and then we immediately answered, and then we answered in the next drive. So it might have took it into the second quarter, but it was impressive to see the offense move the ball the way they did, definitely, and they got off to that fast start, which we're not used to so far this season.
No, not at all. And like again, that was something we had pointed out too. Look out, running game. We have one.
I think DeAndre Swift is listening to this episode as well.
It showed up. I wouldn't say we have one. It showed up this game. I wouldn't say we have one.
About? What do you want in a running game?
What do you mean? What do I want in
a running game? We had 3 touchdowns.
Okay, they showed up 1 week. It was
2
better
weeks.
It was better than last week.
No, it was not.
No, it was worse than last week.
Are you kidding me?
But
DeAndre Swift had like 93 yards last week, and this week he only had like 7.
But we actually used the running backs, is what I'm saying, comparative to last week.
Yeah,
you apparently didn't watch last week.
You literally just said you fall asleep to these games, so don't talk to me about watching.
This game. I was talking about this game.
Right? No, listen. As far as the running game is concerned, okay, sure. You want to say it's 2 weeks? I say a week and a half.
No, it's 2 fucking weeks.
No. Listen, I don't want to get carried away. Yeah, because stats work all the time. That's why PFF is still out there, right? Are we actually going to talk about this? We're going to talk about this.
Okay,
all right,
shut up.
No. I already know. Miller, what was the PFF grade for the Bears run game this week? I already figured someone has it.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
Right.
We had 120 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'll tell you that. But the running game, I cannot give them credit without giving credit to the boys. The offensive line. We said they were looking better last game. Like again, it's the Panthers, so I don't want to get too hyperbolic here, but they looked good, right? Like Jenkins had a really. I'm not gonna give you the PFF score because you're gonna make fun of me, but Jenkins had a good score. Braxton Jones had good score. Even Bill Murray, who came in relief of Tevin Jenkins, who was also
Who
doing
the fuck
okay.
is Bill Murray, and why haven't we heard his name before?
Actually, I would not be surprised
For the
if
Bears, obviously.
if he's named after the Bears fan Bill Murray, who's in
Yeah,
so
I
many
know.
games. It'll be amazing.
But we've had so many issues with the offensive line, and not once did they mention Bill Murray as a replacement. I don't know if we just picked him up or what, but then he comes out and I think he put up the second highest offensive line score of the week. Like, obviously, he only played a
Where's
certain
that
part
score
of the
again?
naps. What?
Where's that score that you're talking about? The highest?
I forgot what I keep forgetting what your PFF abbreviation is.
Yeah.
But like, where the fuck is this guy, and why isn't he getting more snaps if this is what he can do? He was mauling motherfuckers out there, and it was quite impressive to see. So it's nice to see another lineman peek their head out.
I did see something. I think he was a defensive lineman, maybe that we picked up. So some convert of some sort. He was not a traditional O lineman that we picked up. But maybe I'll look him up next episode, and we'll do a little feature on him. Who knows?
Just to kind of give you guys some more stats, it looks like according to ESPN, the miscellaneous stats from the Panthers, it looks like we only got Caleb hit twice. He only has 2 QB hits. The Bears, on the other hand, they had 10 QB hits, 4 sacks. But just again, I think shout out to the offensive line. I think a great solid performance there. I really we could probably nitpick a couple of things. Not going to. Just let them take this. Let them take it. Let them take it. They got to take this high road over to the pond for the next week. But over the pond, not to the pond. We don't want to go into the pond. But I think it was pretty good. I could see where like Swift is kind of looking at that line too, and it's maybe there's a little bit of production in that, I guess you could say.
He's playing with fire. That's all I can say. He looks like a different back after he listened to this episode. So apparently, our
Caleb and
podcast
Swift,
is lifting everybody up.
They asked him, they're like, hey, like, what's worked? And he's like, I have a phone. I see what people are saying about me. And I was like,
He's honest.
I cannot wait. One day someone's going to be like, so what's been doing it? It's these guys, the trio of positivity. They're on to something. They're on to something.
Hey, Bears, we're waiting on. We'll take free tickets and swag and all that good stuff if you are giving it away. But Chris, stay in your positive zone. Okay, I'll feed you up some defensive stats. We'll go right into the positive rating. So stay in that zone for me.
All
okay?
right.
We got an interception from Kevin Byard, our safety. Dexter has been coming in this D line. He had a sack, a fumble recovery.
Isn't he tied for the league in sacks?
He's on fire. He's on fire. Like, and we were all talking about who's gonna step up on the other side, right? Man, like our D line, like, came to play. It's been solid, and it's been so good to see. Cannot talk about defense without talking about Jaquan Brisker. That man put his head on the line, body on the line. That hit was an old school 85 Bears would be proud of you hit. Like, salute to you, sir. He's in concussion protocol now.
Yeah, he might not play in the next game, which isn't great.
He didn't travel to London, so he's still home. They left already, so he's not playing this week. But
no, they said that he can still go out on Thursday if he can.
Oh, he can? Oh, I did not see that. But wow, like, shout out to you. But Chris, as you were saying, Mr. Dalton, the quarterback on the other side, he was limited to 10 of 28, 136 yards and an interception, and he was sacked 3 times. So that's what our defense did.
Wait, you have him at 10 completions?
18. He misread.
Okay, I was about to
call him out, jackass. But we can't get too far into the weeds on the positivity without discussing the big point that I brought up last week, which was our rush defense sucks. It can't stop people very well. Okay, Chuba Hubbard right out of the gate leads his touchdown drive with a 30-yard run. So we still gave up 96 yards on the ground against a shitty team. We need to get better in that facet of the game. Don't know how they do it. They're getting a lot of pressure with their D-line, but that run blocking, it just isn't there. That the run stopping isn't there for them. So hopefully they can tighten things up with the Jaguars this week, because they do have 2 dynamic backs in their backfield that can cause havoc if left untouched. So
fair. Miller, I thought we were not bringing negatives. I was going to go straight into the positive rating. But Chris, I hope you didn't hear the last couple of minutes. Let's start with you. The positivity rating. You were at a 4 last week, up from 2 the week prior. Where are you today?
So before I give my positivity score, the one point that I wanted to bring up, and it'll be quick, it was how Keenan Allen would kind of be put into this play. Just to give you guys some perspective, DJ Moore led the targets, had 8. Do you guys want to take a guess at who was second, third, and fourth? I think you guys can figure it out fairly easy here.
Komet was 2.
No. See, I figured you would have gone that route, but no.
Was Swift
Allen
2?
was 2. Odunze was 3. They were both had 6, so we'll just count 2 and 2. And then fourth was Komet with 4. So you can kind of see that influence that we were talking about too.
Miller, shout out to 4 targets. I think you called it.
He would be limited. But again, one thing to consider, he's only thrown 29. He threw 29 attempts. So, there he goes. Other than that, my positivity rating, I was at a 4. I think I'm comfortable enough to say I'm at a 5.5.
Oh, tough grader over here. You better have a good curve going. Miller?
It's an upward curve.
Miller, you were at a 6 last week, up from 5 the week prior.
Oh, hold
7.
on. We're having technical difficulties with our buddy Miller.
He said 7.
Oh, and then he decides to say 7 and he just leaves. Interesting.
7's a good number. I was at a 6.5. I'm going to bump it up to 7. It was a nice win. A lot of good things for the Bears, but still, the opponent was probably like below average, if I'm being honest. And I would love to see more of these coming up. So I'm at a 7 too, Miller.
7, baby. 7.
I knew you were at 7.
Why high on a low-rated team is what I'm asking you guys.
Low-rated team? We're above 500.
No, the Panthers. Why would you guys?
We're moving up. We're seeing progress with the quarterback, and that's what the most important is.
Like I think they would not have won 36-10, but any other opponent they would probably have scored 20, 25 points, 20 points.
Our offense was fantastic. That's all that matters. Caleb's progressive, like Boopin mentioned before, the fact that he just keeps getting better and better, starting with the win against the Titans and building up to now. Yes, it's weak opponents. But they're doing what they're supposed to do. I get that they suck, but it's like you can't fault them for the players that are on the field.
Like, it's a preview to later, but Miller and I thought it would be a close game. We thought we were going to win by maybe 3 points, 4 points, right? Chris, you're the only one that had the positivity that said, hey, like, it's going on. But no, we pulled it off. It was solid. We're not happy. We're not saying Super Bowl. No one here is.
I can't.
That's a lie.
No,
that's a lie.
I'm not saying Super Bowl. Before I say Super Bowl, I need to see them be a decent team.
Yeah.
But I can be happy with what we have.
Yeah, super solid game. Bears next week, early game. People wake up early. Let's see.
We don't need to talk about incompletions. Thank you. Okay, incompletions do not need to be discussed.
For those listening on the podcast, as you guys know, we've been live streaming on YouTube. Shout out to those that are watching us on YouTube. Every now and then I get to press a little button and it shows recent comments of anyone that writes anything in. I'm not going to mention any names because they don't want to make it seem like I'm assisting in said trolling. But there's some fun, interesting comments that I just show up on screen, which our live viewers will be able to see. I don't know if our recorded crew will be able to see it, so that's something to kind of also test out with this next upload. But it's been fun just watching everyone's reaction just kind of slow down, which I think it's funny. That's just me.
No, you got me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. I forgot my chain of thoughts. But next up, this week, early game, Sunday morning, Bears are visiting the Jags in London. We are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is at 44.5.
I'll take it from here, Boopin, because I was the one that dug into the Jaguars, and
Wait.
What?
Am I not getting my flowers for getting?
He wanted to do it later. I guess I thought we were going to do it now too, but he's going to do it later.
Wait, it's at the end of the segment.
Why would we talk about the previous? All right, go ahead. That's fine.
It's at the end of the segment.
So obviously we talked about earlier the dismissal of Robert Saleh, but this came as a surprise, like we mentioned, because there was another coach that was almost on a hotter seat going into this weekend, and that's Doug Peterson. At the beginning of last week, a report came out talking about Doug Peterson as he has lost the trust of his players. And as we know, Doug Peterson is the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this report kind of came after he threw his team under the bus, basically going, as coaches, we can't go out there and make plays, right? So there were several.
He's not wrong. I'm sorry, he's not
you
wrong.
don't say
I
that.
get that he's not wrong.
Listen, if we're gonna compare, and I didn't mean to truly interrupt you, but I hear a lot of people talking about this. We've had in our work experience, there has been a time where you're like, well, we don't know why sales doesn't sell. I think like you're throwing sales kind of under the bus, but it's a true statement. Why aren't they selling when they're supposed to sell? Why isn't IT supposed to do IT stuff?
But
I had no issues with this
That's
comment.
indicative of a bigger problem. You have a culture problem.
Agreed.
That's what
I
you're
agree
saying.
with that statement. Yes.
And it'll piss players off, which is why the report came off. There were some players that came out after the fact, including the tight end, Evan Ingram, and the Trevor Lawrence as well, that basically came out and said, that's full of shit. The report's full of shit, is wrong, whatever. But it shows, like Bupin said, the culture. There's dysfunction in the organization. And that's why he was probably odds-on favorite to get fired first if it wasn't for the surprising thing. All of that leads up to the fact that we, the Bears, get another organization that is in flux right now, and another organization that we should beat in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, we had the first overall pick this year. We took Heavenly Father Caleb Williams as our quarterback. Thank Jesus. Hallelujah. They took Trevor Lawrence in the 2021 draft as the first overall pick. And this offseason, they made him the fourth highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And any guesses on how many playoff victories he has?
Goose egg.
No, he has one. He does have one. But yes, one victory, and he's making a shit ton of money. And I am so happy that the Bears are not in that situation with Justin Fields. But with the Jaguars, they do have two young, talented running backs in Trevor Etienne, as well as Tank Bigsby. Travis Etienne, I think. Whatever. They're brothers. We could get a little luck of the injury bug again. Etienne does have a shoulder injury. It may push him out of this game. Evan Ingram, there was a report he is their tight end that they got brought in 2 years ago, that he might be back for the first time since week 2. But really, their offense runs around their brand new wide receiver core, with rookie sensation Brian Thomas out of LSU, that is basically leading all rookies in reception yards as of this point. Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk round out the trio there. So the point of the matter is Trevor needs to get them the ball, and we need to stop them. Hopefully we can with the studs that we do have on defense. As far as their defense are concerned, they got a solid D-line. They got Josh Allen. Oh, wait, he changed his name to Josh Hines Allen, and Trayvon Walker, who was a recent draft pick who made a splash this past week against the Colts. Again, another luck of the Irish here. Not even going to say their best linebacker went on IR. Foyusade, we'll just say that his first name. Not going to get to the last name. Didn't practice enough. He just went on IR, so he'll miss this game. They are ranked 32nd against the pass. Their cornerbacks and their secondary is not very good. So hopefully Caleb has another great game here. Touching on the strengths here, defensive line and Brian Thomas Jr. That is the core of what has led this team so far. They are the shining light, if you will. Brian Thomas, like I mentioned, he was out of nowhere, but he was shielded by neighbors, both LSU wide receivers last year, and just playing great ball. Weaknesses that they have for their team: lack of turnovers, lack of explosive plays, and high sack rate on Lawrence. So lack of explosive plays sounds familiar. That's what we were dealing with last week before we had this great performance here. So we'll see. If we get those three, if we get turnovers, we get sacks, we have a chance at a victory. Let's get into the score prediction so Chris can stop being a little whiny biatch.
Listen, it's not being a whiny biatch when you're right.
I mean, you would
No,
not.
I think we do it at the end.
Doo-doo.
Like, so, Chris, you got the win because you were the closest. You were still off by like 15 points, but you were the
15
closest.
total. Don't make it seem like... Say what it is. I said how many points for the Bears?
30.
And they scored?
36.
All right, so 6 points away there. And how much did I say for Panthers?
6.
And how much they scored?
10.
That sounds close to me, brother.
Never in the history of this podcast
That
dove
sounds
into the
close
differences
to me,
as pathetically
brother.
as you just did.
People are petty. It's okay. Okay. 3-2, Chris. What's your prediction for this week?
All right, since I obviously know about sports more than my two colleagues here, I just want to point out that it is in London, which I don't know who's going to have the field advantage on anything like that.
Jags. It's basically their second home.
It's yeah, but a lot of people wear different jerseys when they're out there, so it's more of like.
Can I interrupt for a second?
setting.
You brought it
Go
up.
ahead.
What are our thoughts about Eberflus flying out immediately?
I like it
Because
I've always
they
been a fan of
landed
it.
like today or tomorrow or morning or something.
I'm a fan of it.
Me too.
Today would have been like an off day anyway, so
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like playing. Sometimes they do that in the West Coast, right? If it's like do a big flight, they just leave a couple of days.
well, not only that, they used to have a thing where if you knew you were having two West Coast games, they would leave earlier, stay there, and then fly like the day after the game or the day on the game. I'm a big fan of it. I have no complaints. I think this one, I don't know what the weather's going to be like out there.
Well, it's rainy right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm like.
It's always rainy.
I think it's going to be a kicking game more than anything. So I am probably going to go.
Don't they have a dome?
No, it's Wembley, isn't it?
It's Tottenham.
It's Tottenham again?
It's always Tottenham. No, that's what he owns.
You know what?
Saad Khan, that's what he owns.
Let me do some research. I'll pass it off to you guys because I could have sworn it was Wembley.
Okay,
so my bad.
Chris, as you're doing that, I was going to say, I think Jaguars go out there and play 3 games there. So I think they stay there like 3 weeks. And
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. They do that. So that's their second home game. These are counted as their home games. But I'll go. Looking at the over-under, looking at the score, I say it's a close game. 24-20, Bears win.
24-20. It is Tottenham, but it might be opened. I don't know if they have a retractable roof, but can't get that quickly. I think the Bears win. I think I talked about it last week. The fact that I was a little worried that if the Jaguars were 0-5,
good point.
We may
5*0 Miller.
We may have been in trouble if they were a desperate team, but because they got that win against the Colts, I think that that changes the dynamic a little bit. So I think the Bears pull this one out. I think Caleb comes out and plays well again. I'm thinking 27-17 Bears. I'm a little surprised at the spread being only 3. I'm going to be honest. But I guess they just scored 37 points on the Indy, who technically beat us. Yeah,
right?
but and also it's a neutral site, so I guess technically the spread's 5.5 if it was a home game.
True.
Okay, so while you guys were talking, I did kind of take a look at a couple things. It is not a roof, but only the fans are covered, so the field is open. So it is not a retractable roof of that sense, so it is an open field. According to the weather, it says it is 0 precipitation, 99% cloud coverage. However, it does say that the wind is like 7 with wind gusts of 17. So I'm going to go ahead and stick back to my original thought, which was it's going to be a kicking game. So I did my research. I'm going to go ahead and say it is I didn't say anything while you were giving your shitty prediction, okay? This is a
The
educated
stadium, right?
prediction here.
The wind doesn't blow in the fucking stadium.
Yes, it does. What do you mean?
Not
The fans
a
are covered,
bowl.
Miller.
Yes,
Fans
it
are
does.
covered, Miller.
Anyway, since I got rudely interrupted again, I'm gonna say it's 23-20 Bears.
Sorry, what was it? 23-20?
23-20 Bears.
Ooh, that's very close to what I said.
I think it's gonna be mostly kicking though, so don't be surprised if it ends in a game-winning field goal by the Bears.
Okay, Chris, so if I'm right, I think it goes over. If you're right, it goes under. So we are right
really?
there. Yeah, one of us should, I think.
What was the over-under?
43.5.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is so cool, though. Okay. My record is 4-1. Like I said, Chris is 3-2 in predictions so far this year. All right. We'll have to wake up early to watch this game. We will get it going, but let's get your fantasy teams going. Let's bring you up to speed with some of the trends from this last week. Catch you up on some injuries. Tell you some people to hold, buy, sell, all that good stuff. Let's start with the general notes. I wanted to note that Miller and Chris said this normally. The players, the scores, the yards, like the top tier people started to score as we expected them to. So the trend is heading towards normal, heading towards the mean. Another thing I wanted to say was I think it was last 2 years, the top drafted quarterbacks were the true difference. Like they would really help you win a week by just their performance alone. This year, it's pretty early, but that has not been the case. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, even Stroud, Anthony Richardson in there, they have all underwhelmed. The only people that are like kind of held a candle on this is Lamar and Hurts. They are like Lamar's, I think, number one quarterback in fantasy so far. Hurts like top 5, top 4. So they're the only one that are returning decent value. Miller, did you have any nuggets you want to throw out from this week?
He has to. He fucking interrupted your thing, so he's got to say
Sorry,
something
I'm
now.
over here
Jesus.
laughing at the comment because the Caleb hate is real all the time, every game, always. Pick sixes, all right, this week. Pick six, okay.
Chat, if you want to know, or listeners, if you want to know what's going on, come to the live stream. You'll be able to see what's happening. We don't really want to talk about it because last time we did, it went almost to like a 2-hour episode. So we're doing this a certain way.
General notes, Miller.
I think this was one of the highest scoring weeks. I think we had the most touchdowns so far this season, which was refreshing, 71. We were lackluster for fantasy a lot. We're looking for a lot more scoring, that's for sure. But they came out this week, especially with the Bengals Ravens game. I think they put up almost 80 points between the two of them. So props there. Top drafted QBs seem to be an issue so far. It's hard to say what Anthony Richardson will ever be. Sorry, John and Scott. And Josh Allen, he's up and down. And CJ Stroud, he's getting the wins, but the fantasy numbers aren't there to make sense with where he was drafted. But Lamar and the Hurts, I don't know about Hurts, but Lamar is definitely giving you decent value. I think I saw that he was in the top 10 of QBs for every week so far this year. So props to him and props to Jaden Daniels, who was probably the steal of the draft. Injuries is a big point. The biggest one out there right now is probably Jonathan Taylor. He has a high ankle sprain. Don't know if he's going to come back for the Colts or not. Trey Sermon came in and put up a decent game.
Excuse me. Chris, there's some numbers next to Jonathan Taylor. This is for you. So you planted your flag in Trey Sermon being just as good as Jonathan Taylor. So I just got some numbers.
I do recall something similar to that. Yeah.
So
and I see him
Trey
trying to
Sermon,
Google. I see him trying to rapid Google some stuff here. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I have you. I have your yards per average too if you need it. Don't worry. Mr. Sermon rushed 10 times for 38 yards. He did have a touchdown. Let's give him that. He had 6 catches for 25 yards, while Mr. Goodson, who was the third string running back, had 5 rushes for 26 yards and 3 catches for 31 yards. So it looks like Mr. Sermon is not so good and not replacement level for Jonathan Taylor? Any thoughts there, sir?
He got a 3.8 average on the ground. The other guy had what? You said 5 for 26. It's almost 5 on the ground. What are you complaining about? That's an average of over 4 yards a carry, and you're complaining about 4 yards a carry?
I mean, I was
Swift only
complaining
got 3.5 this week, and you were just raving about him. So what's the big deal?
I was talking about Sermon and not being replacement level to Jonathan Taylor.
It's not about Sermon as much as it's about the cast behind the $12 million man. Okay.
Oh, we're talking about the running back room now.
It's always been a running back room. It has never been about one guy.
Someone brought up the room and was like ostracized.
That
so
is
anyway,
not
never
factual.
mind.
That is factual. Ruben, I got your back on this. Don't you worry. It's not the whiskey talking yet. We're not even fully into the wee hours of this podcast. So no, I'm with you, Boopin.
A couple of running backs that I heard going into the bye though, thankfully. Devon Achane and Aaron Jones. Achane from Dolphins, Aaron Jones from Vikings. Ty Chandler could be a speculative ad, especially cheap, because Vikings are on bye this week. So if you have the bench space, you can afford to. Who knows if Aaron Jones is going to come back on the other side? That could be a decent play, but they're both hurt. Nico Collins, he was said to be day-to-day. They changed it to week, so he's likely out at least a week, if not more. Keep an eye out for Tank Dell if available. Might be a decent ad. A couple of quarterbacks that are hurt but probably will still play in week 6. Josh Allen. I don't know if you guys saw this. He's definitely concussed. They let him play. He completed 9 passes out of 30 last game. Like, I don't know, whatever the league protocol is on NFL concussion, they need to look that again. But he was hurt. Rodgers also got banged up in that game, but they're both expected to play this week. In some good news as well, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith for the Eagles are expected to be back, and Mr. Cooper Kupp on the Rams is expected to be back week 7 after the bye. So if you can trade for him right now, Rams are on a bye. Maybe that person that owns that player needs someone this bye week to get by. Maybe a cheap trade offer for Cooper Kupp. Maybe turn your team around. Let's see. I picked up some names, guys, just to bring up here to see what you're doing with it. Some of it is from my team. Some of it is just like general fantasy knowledge. First one is from our Bears, Keenan Allen.
You want me to go? You're not going to even talk. It's fine. Keenan Allen, I would say drop.
Whoa.
I think there's one wide receiver on the scene. I was skeptical about this wide receiver in core at the beginning of the year, just because I thought it was going to be more evenly spaced out, as you've kind of seen. But I think the evenly spaced is between Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze, and I think DJ Moore has established himself because of his whining and complaining as the overall number 1 wide receiver, and I think he's going to get the targets.
Chris, do you agree?
I would probably have to agree. The only thing, obviously, with any of these predictions is not predictions, but just viewpoints is injuries or changing in a game plan. So yeah, I would probably agree with Miller on this.
I think he'll have his games, but it'll be too hard to guess when he hits and doesn't hit.
What does have his games?
Like, he will score touchdowns. He, like that little quick slant that he always does, he will get his touchdowns, I think.
Okay, so you're just talking touchdowns. So you're looking at a guy as he's probably going to get 30, 40, and if you're lucky, you get a touchdown.
I mean, like with bye weeks and freaking injuries, I think if you put him in a flex. But like, again,
that's too risky for me, man.
Yeah, that's way too risky.
What I was going to say was, like, it's too hard to predict those touchdowns and so unreliable that it's likely a drop for me too. But you probably don't want to drop this guy. Juju Smith-Schuster had 130 yards. It was like 2020 all over again. Looking at how many yards he had, he probably had a touchdown too. Are you guys holding on to him, picking him up?
He's probably on waivers, to be honest. So you should probably look at picking him up if you have a shot. I believe the Chiefs are on bye this week. So it could be another cheap ad along with your Minnesota Vikings guy that you mentioned.
Look at that, making your team better every day. Miller, this is personal for you. Do you want to talk about Breece Hall?
Yeah, Breece Hall is So I've gotten by with victories, even though he's been subpar these last 2 weeks. When it comes to Breesy boy, are we buying? We dropping? We selling? I hope we're not dropping. But you guys give me your opinions, and then I'll give you my thoughts as an owner of the guy.
Yeah, so I think last game was about getting Gareth Winston right. He got 20, I think, targets last game. So I think that's what Jets are trying to do. They're trying to figure out, get on the same page with Rodgers. I think Hall will be fine. It'll be great if you can get by for next week, 2 weeks, as they like freaking go through this choppy waters. But I think he'll be fine on the other end. I think you have to temper expectations. He's not gonna be your league winner that he was last week. I think he'll be average running back 2, maybe running back 3, higher end. But if,
Come on,
yeah,
dude.
that's my expectation. Like I
Running
don't think
back
he's getting the
2? Running back 3?
Yeah.
Not even worth it on my team. Running back 3.
So
I mean, you invested so much on him. You're not dropping him.
Go ahead, Chris.
no, but it's not necessarily that. I think you would just have to see what the new coaching scheme, I guess could be the right word.
Yeah, what's
is
his
gonna
name? Aaron Rodgers?
Well, not just
Well,
that.
technically, the
but-
scheme may not change. I did
Right,
hear
and so-
rumor. I don't know. Fuck the Jets. Who cares? Go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say, if you believe that a coaching change can kind of help the run game and give them more opportunities, you might be better off as a possible flex. But I think right now there's probably other running backs out in the market that are getting better opportunities, and also the Jets don't really have that well of a schedule coming up, so I don't know.
That's wrong. So I am very much torn right now. I'm thinking about possibly trading him, trying to get that name value out there. But realistically, if you do look at the schedule, you'll know that their schedule is actually fairly weak coming up and towards the end of the season, because they're going to be playing Miami and some other Buffalo, who is a weak run defense as well. So I do think the defense is going to loosen up. You can't do much worse than you just did. You did play 2 good defenses, the Jets with the Vikings and whoever they played the week before. But he is getting
The
a majority.
Broncos?
Huh?
Broncos.
The
Yeah, the
Broncos?
Broncos are one of the best defenses in the league.
Okay, but hold on. I have a question for you, because sometimes when we get into these conversations, we always talk about they're either good in the league or they're good for fantasy terms. Or what are you saying for this?
I'm always fantasy, but usually fantasy correlates to at least a decent
Sometimes.
numbers on defense in general. But I mean, you look at what Denver's given up, and they don't give up a lot of points, and they have
Miller,
the
you
best
said
cornerback in the league.
You said trade. So like trade where? Who? Like what's
I would be looking for a
player-
top tier guy.
Okay, like so. Do you have some names you want to throw out there?
No, you're in my league, bro. It might be your
Oh,
guy.
I see what's happening. Okay.
I mean,
I
I'm
see
looking
what's
at. I'm
happening.
looking for an RB1. The bottom line is Brees Hall was drafted as a number 2 running back in the league. He had 3 really good games out of the gate, and he struggled in the last 2, as well as the entire Jets running game goes. I am not thinking that he's going to be an RB3 to end the year. If he's an RB3, I'm just going to throw away my season. But I think he's still a solid start. The schedule eases up here coming up. So I expect him. He's still getting a majority of the load. I think he had 12. I think he had basically 66+% of the touches for the running back. So it's nothing to be too concerned about. He's still gonna, and you know what? Usually when you do bring in a coach, you get the ball to your playmakers, and at the end of the day, Brees Hall is a playmaker. But if Aaron Rodgers continues to suck, who knows what he's gonna be? But we'll see.
So
like J.K. Dobbins, Miller.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who I'm gonna go after. J.K. Dobbins.
So I just want to pick your brain, because I feel like your thought of a schedule is a little bit different than mine. So right now, according to ESPN, the Eagles are ranked 1 on the Week 6 defensive rankings. I got to be specific here. I thought it was going to be a full thing. But they have the Texans 2, the Steelers 3, Broncos 4, Colts 5. But I think this might be a matchup thing. The Jets' next games is Bills, Steelers, Patriots, Texans, and then Cardinals. Those are the next 5.
Yeah, 2 tough defenses in there.
So
Pittsburgh and
So Pittsburgh and Bills were kind of agreeing here.
No, Bills. I think they have.
Bills are
they
fairly
have-
weak running the ball. Okay.
Or defending against the run.
So if you want me to send the screen of Yahoo ranks, I can do that. The Bills are second against the run, second worst against the run. New England's 10th worst against the run. Pittsburgh and Houston are the only ones on red on Yahoo for the rest of the Jets season.
Okay.
Everything else is is green.
So Miller, look out for a trade offer for J.K. Dobbins coming your way. But like, talk about the other player on the Jets, right? Garrett Wilson got 20 freaking targets. He like Devontae Adams is rumored to go there. Like, is this sustainable? Like, like people drafted him with very high expectations. Thankfully, I haven't. None of my teams, I couldn't get him. People with that eye on him, they were drafting a little bit before me, but. Is this sustainable? Is it going to happen? Is this where is Garrett Wilson and the Jets going next?
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a little shrunk. I had a big of whiskey.
Jesus.
Okay, so Garrett
This
Wilson, I've been waiting
podcast
for
is
Garrett Wilson to talk. So if I don't have Garrett Wilson in any leagues, I don't. I wanted him. I was high on him. Well, you're not my league, bro. I picked your team. But what I would say if I was a Garrett Wilson owner is I would be trying to trade him now. Try to get maximum value for him for basically two reasons. One, he's coming off the best game of the season. Like you said, 20 targets. They were trying to feed him the ball. And two, there is a chance that Devontae Adams comes to this team. And if Devontae comes to this team, it could eat into Garrett Wilson's performance. So he's no longer the only option for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers now has a guy that he's played with for 5-6 years when they had the great rapport. So it's definitely going to take a hit on Garrett Wilson. So I would probably try to flip him right now if I had the opportunity.
See, and in my mind, I always feel like the teams that he was on, the second wide receiver always seemed to kind of get some looks too because Devontae was the main focus. So I kind of get what you're saying, but 29 points on because I have him on my starting. That looks pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie. So
I mean, what did you do before that though?
Well,
Don't
listen,
look
we're
at
not
what
worried about
recency
before. We never
bias,
talk about
bro.
before.
This is why
We
I
never
said
talk about
trade it so
before.
that you can go find some dumbass like you and someone looks at 29 and says, I want him.
Okay, calm down. All but one game, which was the Denver game, he's had double-digit points.
You have
in the
PPR?
PPR league. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's like 50 yards and 5 catches.
It's some wide receivers still had 2 or 3. So hey.
No, those are good those are great talking points. Chris, any other ones from your team you want to bring up?
Yeah. Your boy had Mr. Chase on his team.
Fuck yeah.
And his total score for me, because it's PPR, 41.3, which was top for the whole league. It's about fucking time.
It is.
What I would have loved to see. Well,
No,
a good week before that too.
Recency bias. It sounds like to me.
First couple weeks he was not
Okay.
that
It's been we're in week 5 now, Boopin.
We are in week 5. I'm sorry, but first couple weeks not that great.
23, 15, and 31. Come the fuck on, guys.
Sounds like recency bias.
You only said 3 scores.
Jesus
What about the other 2?
Christ.
What about the? Yeah, it's week 5. What were the other 2?
We already determined that he had his low start.
There's a lot of stuff happening in fantasy. I'm actually having fun in fantasy this year, so it's a little bit different compared to.
Do you still have Darnell Mooney on your team?
I do, and I'm put him in my flex this week.
You should put him in your flex.
I put him in my flex.
He's probably doing like if not better.
You should reach out to that guy that was trying to trade for him and try to get some goo.
Could you believe in my league he had 31.5 just off of
He's
that
been really
game
good.
alone.
Yeah.
That's been a sleeper of a pick. Like
it's almost like our quarterback last year just couldn't feed 2 wide receivers.
He can't feed Pickens right now.
Yeah, did you see the shit on him? How he barely ran his plays?
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw
But
that.
how can you expect Fields, this great quarterback, and you have a wide receiver that doesn't give a shit? Like, come on.
Well,
let's
better question is why, in my opinion.
So I know we're talking Is there any other fantasy points? Because there's one more thing I want to talk about, which is that the Pittsburgh team. Just real quick, if you guys don't mind.
No, go for it.
Do you guys feel that if the Bears were 3-2, but we had a rookie in waiting, or we had a vet quarterback, would you feel what Pittsburgh is feeling right now, where they kind of want they want Russell Wilson to kind of jump in already, where it's a half. Like, I've read a couple of some of the news stories, like they're half and half. Some people are like we need Russell now. Others are like, this is Fields, like we need a better team around him, which is kind of what we were having a couple seasons ago too.
I got to take Miller. I don't know if you do. So this is why
Miller's drunk. He's already at the point where he's like, Miller's gone, bro.
My
Look
brain is taking a while to formulate a response. So go ahead.
Hang on, I got a good one. So this was my issue with Fields, right? He's competent. He can manage the game. He's a game changer at times. But if you looked at the Cowboys games, which I did very closely because I had money on the game, but thank you, Miller. But like that's the problem. They were like, he was not hitting the receivers. Like, something was not, like, he was almost there but not there. So he's not a true difference maker. He was not changing the game.
Okay, but this is the only defense I'll have against that. It was a delayed game. The field was still rough.
Come on, dude.
It's not part of the normal schedule. Like, I'm sorry.
You can't use excuses like that when you're in the NFL.
I'm gonna remember that. Wait till the Bears get involved in a situation.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. I don't know.
That should help Fields, right? He should run. I don't know. Like,
they didn't really have that much of a run game, though. That's what I'm saying.
I think Tomlin realizes that Fields a guy that, although his talent can be elite at times, it can also be really bad and messy at times. So I think that he is trying to reel him in and trying to keep him at that status quo and not allowing him to get on those high fluctuations of performances. And I think the Indy game, when he was at his best, was that performance was because they were behind and he needed to build his team back up. But I don't think Tomlin wants him to play that way, which is why you've seen him play pretty
I got a good
on
one.
those times. So for Pittsburgh Steelers in general, I don't know. I think it's a tough situation. This is exactly why I didn't want Fields and Caleb in the fucking same camp. I can tell you that right now.
I think I got a good one. So Tomlin was not trying to lose the game with Fields. He was not trying to win.
No, I don't agree with that.
I agree with it. He was like, it was 4th and freaking 1. They punted, dude. Like,
I'm not talking this just one game. I'm talking in general, though.
What was the score? You trust your defense. That has nothing to do with Fields.
It was like a 1-score going game, I think.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you have a good defense. You want to put
your
4th and 1. If you can cement, I don't know where they're at on the field, but
yeah, don't question me on that either. But I'm like, if you were the Bears, you wouldn't put that situation on fucking Caleb. Granted, he's a rookie. I get it.
On Fields, I would.
But if you have a great defense,
fucking get him. Against the historically bad running defense, Cowboys are historically bad this year in running defense. They were missing Micah, and they were missing
Dexter.
Dexter. Like, come on, I think that's doable. They were trying to not win the game. They were trying to not lose the game and lost the game in the process. I will fucking stand on it any day you want me.
I don't know. I'm very torn here because it's just a tough situation. You have 2 starting quarterbacks on the same team, and
very cheap.
An injury costed Russell Wilson his starting job, and Fields took it. He won 3 games. 2 of basically, like as we've discussed, the defensive allowed 26 points through those 3 games, so the defense carried them. And then the last 2 games, the offense hasn't really performed that spectacularly.
If Dak didn't fall on the ball in that first round play, they would have won this game too. Like it's insane.
But it was in the defense's hands, is what I'm trying to say. Like it's in the defense's hand. If what you're telling me is, if you have a great defense,
That wasn't your question,
want
though.
them-
Your question
No,
was
no,
about
no.
the quarterbacks.
I understand, but we then talked about the 4th and 1, and you guys are saying, well, that means you don't have the confidence in your
That's what
quarterback to
he's-
get you that yard. Okay, yeah.
It was like third quarter, fourth quarter, late in the game, 1-score game. I don't know. Like if I have Fields, I expect to go for it, and then just like
No, see,
punch
and
it
if
down
my
your throat.
defense is doing well, I want to punt it to get it as deep as possible so that we give our chance to the defense. That's
Especially
always
if they
been
have
the
to score a
premise.
touchdown. That's a valid point.
And you're at home.
But
You're
again,
at
it depends
home.
where the ball is. But it's tough because when you set the precedent that Russell's your starter, you've kind of given this leeway to say, "Oh, Justin's playing well, but Russell still got his hammy issue, and now they're saying he's fully ready." But they're just playing the game that I didn't want our team to play because it's going to be shitty.
Yeah.
Because now Russell, if Fields doesn't win this week, then Russell's probably definitely the starter going forward. And then
Agreed.
how long until Russell's out, right? Are you going to
Agreed.
give him 3 losses in a row and then, oh, nope, Fields is in now? It's just a stupid fucking game that you play. And that's why I'm sure this isn't the direction they thought this was going to go. They probably were like, let's start with Russell and then he'll go. And then if he sucks, we'll go to Fields and ride Fields out for the rest of the year. But they didn't get that handout.
So 2 things with that, and then I'll swing it over to you, Boopin. One, we need Fields to play so that we get the draft pick. So all the Bears fans need to hope that Fields continues to have great games so that we can get our draft pick up. That's 1. 2, I think you're seeing this with a lot of scenarios where people were looking at Atlanta, where like you paid all of this money for this quarterback to then draft your rookie. He's doing well. You then have New England with, now they were like, well, we don't need to rush to get our rookie quarterback in there, and now they announce him as a starter. It could have, I think for the Bears, it could have gone a little bit different, but I think for the Steelers, they are on kind of like a lose-lose, because if both quarterbacks suck, you had previously drafted what you thought was the future, you have 0 quarterbacks now.
Okay, Pickens didn't light the world on fire.
Well, but he was labeled when Mitch was sad, when my boy.
Yeah, 3 years ago they brought in
there.
Pickens, and he didn't really take any steps.
And that's what I'm saying. It went to that point.
Also, like, think about what Pickens does well. He does really well in that, like, close 50-50 balls. And I don't think they allow Fields to throw that 50-50
No,
balls.
Pickett. Sorry, Pickett. We're talking Pickett.
Oh, Pickett. Sorry, my bad.
Sorry.
One last thing I wanted to say was, like, in my head, and I could be totally off, I think Fields is more coachable than Russell. I think Russell has made a name for himself, good or bad. That's probably Tomlin, like, one reason might be that too. But that's what I'm going to leave it at.
Okay, final point on this, and then we'll wrap it up. Boopin, Fields is playing better as a Steeler or played better as a Bear?
I think I liked the last couple of games last year that we had going. He had the offense in a rhythm. He was running, getting us wins. I like that Fields much better than what they have going right now.
Miller?
I thought he was better last year. I'm not watching the games that closely.
I from the stuff that I've seen, I feel like he just looks better now.
The only thing I have going for me is the fact that I have George Pickens on one team that hasn't done shit. He hasn't scored a touchdown. And then I have Pat Freiermuth that has like 2 touchdowns. So I don't know what to expect. All I know is that their number 1 wide receiver through 5 weeks doesn't have a fucking touchdown. So that tells me that probably played better last year.
That's fair.
I found the punt too. So this is third quarter, 7:23.
It's third quarter. If you punt it,
hang on. They punted from Dallas's. My bad.
Dallas's fuck. Where's that yard line at, Miller?
Doesn't matter. I don't know if they're in the Dallas zone. You go for it before the 1.
Dallas is 47.
It's third.
Doesn't you go? It's 4th and 1. It's 4th and 1.
Third quarter,
you pin them. You trust your defense.
And the score is 6-10.
Yes,
the score is 6-10. Dallas is
not at
6-10.
all.
You punt. All
right.
You punt.
Whatever.
6-10 in the third.
They don't have our punter.
On that positive note, people, what are you looking forward to next week? What? Give me a prediction. What's gonna happen? Give me anything. Something good. Get these people hyped
You
up.
want something good? Oof. Miller, you wanna? You're the drunkest one of the
You
group.
were
I don't
gonna
know. What do
end
you?
this episode.
I thought so too, but I was not expecting this because someone doesn't follow the
Oh
agenda
my
or has
God.
been updated.
It's my agenda. It's on the agenda.
The only thing
doing
I'm
it.
looking forward to is watching NFL Wet Red Zone at 12 o'clock on Sunday because we have an 8:30 a.m. game.
Are you guys actually waking up for this game? Yeah.
Whether
I
I
know you
watch
guys
it in
have to,
full, I don't know,
yeah.
but yes.
Yeah.
I watch it with my kids.
We'll probably talk about this after this episode is done recording, but I think Drake May might have
Oh my God.
might be throwing some bombs.
Jesus Christ.
Might be throwing some bombs
Against one of the best
Pip.
defenses in the NFL in Houston.
Pick up
Listen.
that defense and play them. This is what my fantasy advice would be.
I don't know. I always feel like if you're gonna make that move and you're playing against
People have compared this move to when the Bears put Fields out against the Browns as being one of the worst moves you can make for a rookie. If they were going to play Drake May, they should have played him against Miami.
That's fair too. But they got it. Like I've always said this about our team. They must be seeing. Remember when we talked about? Okay, I'm getting into a whole thing.
We've gone so far over.
Actually, I know, but I just want to bring this up. Do you remember when we were talking about practice and how we were like it was a competition? I can't remember which two quarterbacks, and they're like,
Dalton
listen,
and Fields.
was it Dalton Field? Miller was like, look at all these Twitter clips. Look at how Fields is throwing this and that, or look at how this is happening. And we're like, it's fucking practice. It's like, what do you expect? What do you think they're seeing in Drake May in practice that makes them go?
I mean,
I think you're talking about Caleb Williams because I think that's the first time I really went ham on fucking practice clips.
There was a conversation where we were talking about it. But what I'm saying is, what do you think was like Drake May is like, we need to put him against the Texans?
Like, Brissett was doing okay. Like, Brissett has not, not won them the game. He's not a difference maker. So if you have a rookie waiting, why wouldn't you start him? I know it's not a good place to start him, but he's going to learn. It's going to be ugly, but he's going to learn. It's going to be positive steps. That's why
Miami does not have a good defense, and for them to come out and basically look as bad as Miami, and Miami's offense is in shambles without Tua, so to lose to that team is really bad. That is probably what made the decision. But the fact that they're throwing them in against probably one of the best AFC teams at the moment with a stud defensive line is just not a good decision. But
we'll see how that works out. But we've babbled enough. Boobin, take us home.
People, my good people, we got a good positive streak going. Let's keep building on it. We're gonna go to the moon. We're gonna go to the moon, not to the bowl. We're gonna go to the moon.
I was about to say.
We're gonna go to the moon. But thank you for listening. Thank you for the feedback. We are learning. We are growing. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you for the short feedback. We're enjoying the creating shorts. So thank you.
Chris, thank you for all the work you put onto this. We appreciate it. But people, keep hitting the like, the subscribe. You don't know how much that helps us out. Hopefully we brought some positive into your life today. We're just three knuckleheads just talking. Some drunk, some not. We're all in this together. This Chicago sports scene, the misery we have going. We will tune in. We will love it. We'll treasure it.
Jesus. Just end the episode. You're stretching it. You're just end it. Just end it.
Good night.
Jesus Christ. Sorry for that. You guys have a good night. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I was going.